Over the past several days, I've experienced, like I think most of you have, a wide range of emotions in response to the mass killing of 20 first graders to 6 teachers and faculty at Newman, Connecticut. From rage to horror, from grief to incredible sadness, I have found myself struggling, again like I think you have, with a way to absorb this particular tragedy. And at times I found myself in strange times of being mute. Which is why I'd like to talk to you today on this fourth Sunday, not about Elizabeth's greeting of her cousin Mary, but about the verses that will follow upon this particular passage from the Gospel of St. Luke. And that is Mary's great song that we call the Magnificat. I've always wondered, for example, why it is that St. Luke employs many songs in his Gospel, from Simeon's to Zechariah, to Mary, to the great multitude of angels that we will hear. And the reason that I find out that why he did this and employs this is because songs are very powerful. Laments express our grief and fear so as to honor these deep and difficult emotions and simultaneously strip them of their power to incapacitate us. Songs of praise and thanksgiving unite us with the one to whom we lift up our voices. Canticles of courage and promise not only name our hopes, but also contribute to bringing them into being. Given this, I think we have a unique opportunity this Sunday not only to talk about Mary's song or even to sing it, but also enter into the promises to which it gives voice. Mary sings of God's mercy, promising that God lifts up the lonely, the downtrodden, and the oppressed, not just of her day, but of our own as well. So as we take up her song, we call upon God to remember those families whose children did not come home from school that Friday. And we beseech God on behalf of all those who mourn, or are lonely, or do not have enough food, or live in places of strife and war, or who struggle with mental illness, or care for them, and so many more. According to St. Luke, when Mary sang, she didn't just name those promises, but also entered into them. Notice, for instance, that the verbs in Mary's song are all in the past tense. Mary recognizes as she sings that she has already been drawn into relationship with the God of Israel. Singing draws us into the actual experience and the reality in which we find ourselves. God has promised to change our world, and in singing these promises, we enter into that work. I believe that it is important on this Sunday to look and sing of Mary's song for the lowly, to touch upon the difficult emotions we've experienced over the last week, to point out how the songs of this season include those emotions, and also how they move us beyond them. All of a sudden we find ourselves amid our singing coming together not as individuals but as a community. Coming together with the company of saints from Mary to Elizabeth, down to the ages, to all of us gathered here this day. Gathering, raising our voices in great hope and expectation, waiting once more for the presence and the comfort that comes from our Lord who is to come.